In this video, I would like to focus on the software/camera setting aspect of how I shot this iPhone short documentary about my childhood friend Shotaro, who runs a cafe in this small town called Shinonome-cho in Hiroshima, Japan, which is also my home prefecture. If you guys haven't watched a gear video, what kind of gears I attach it on my iPhone to get the most cinematic image, I highly recommend you guys to check that one out first to see the general idea of how you can get the most cinematic controlled camera situation with the phone. I feel like this part of the video, more software, camera setting based video, is less important than using like ND filter, external SSD, or like this whole filmmaker setup. For me, I don't know about you guys. If you guys are new to this channel, hi, my name is Peace Gates. I'm a full-time content creator slash videographer who also happens to love good clothes, good food, and good coffee, because with those, our life is just a bit better. But let's focus on iPhone, and I'm gonna be honest, throughout this entire shoot for the short documentary, I haven't even used the default app even once, because filming raw photos on the default camera app, I think that is totally acceptable. However, in terms of filming Apple log, the log setting on your video, we cannot precisely control the camera setting or adjust the shutter speed, etc. It's just not suitable for actually filming the log. And the ProRes 422 HQ is the default setting on this default app. You are using so much of your storage. So for the entire shoot, I use a third-party app. I think third-party app is the easiest way to control your phone to get the most out of it. Also, before we get into this video, I'm not the most expert person to talk about shooting on Apple ProRes RAW, Apple ProRes RAW HQ, Apple ProRes 422 HQ, etc., etc. However, I am a videographer, and all I wanted to do is to test out Apple ProRes RAW and Apple ProRes 422 HQ. However, you can get like literally 90%-ish of what this phone is capable of with half of the storage space, because these two codecs takes up a lot of storage. I explained in the gear video, but I shot 160 clips for a 5-minute short documentary, and I use 600 gigabyte. That is a lot of storage, and that's only using the RAW and 422 HQ. And the app that I use for filming this video is the Blackmagic camera app, which is a free app that will let you control your iPhone fully. And for me, it's the easiest one to use it, but there's also an app called the Moment Pro app and Final Cut app. I think these three are like recommended apps, I think. But yeah, I just use Blackmagic camera app because I'm really familiar with it. Okay, so first thing first, I will talk about what setting that I use to film the short documentary, and later on in the video, I'll recommend you guys what other codec to use to film more lightly, because you don't have to use Apple ProRes RAW. So the codec I use is either Apple ProRes RAW and Apple ProRes 422 HQ. These are the two main codecs that I use. For Apple ProRes 422 HQ, it's a big file as well, but you can get the most of it on ProRes 422 or ProRes 422 LT, especially if you're uploading on social media. For the color space, I wanted to shoot Apple Log 2. And for the resolution, whenever I was filming ProRes RAW, which you cannot use any stabilization, I just shot an open gate because I do love the aspect ratio of 4:3 of open gate. And for the camera, I didn't really use zoom or ultra wide. Most of the time, I just used the main 24mm wide lens, which is the 1x lens on your phone, because it has the fastest aperture. And if you guys ever filmed a video between all these three lenses, the main camera always have the sharpest, most clear, better and low light image compared to the other two. So I always shot on the 24mm, and especially when you're filming on iPhone, you cannot change the aperture. So the main lens does the job super well. I cannot believe that I forgot to explain in this video, but whenever I shoot videos, I shoot in 24 frames per second. However, because the ND filter I was using for this short documentary wasn't strong enough, so I shot in 30 frames per second, and my shutter speed was on 1/60 because I'm shooting in 30. The more shutter speed you have in your footage, the more light is required. So, you know, it was too bright out to use the ND filter, so I use 30 frames per second. For my color grading, maybe because of my color grading, or I don't know, I feel like if you go over 400 in Apple ProRes, it looks just a bit more muddy compared to other ISO, but I didn't really think about it too much because I feel like, especially whenever you're filming documentary, which you constantly moving around, the efficiency is way more important than filming the most accurate ISO, the most native ISO, and trying to get the most out of it. I don't even know the native ISO of iPhone, but the dynamic range was super well that I was able to just like color grade it normally. So I will have it right here if I know the native ISO. And whenever I'm filming outside, I was at 5,300 Kelvin in terms of white balance. And whenever I was filming inside, like inside of the store, the cafe, I was filming in around 4,700 to 5,000 because there's like a tungsten light, there's all kinds of different type of light, so I didn't want to go too warm, but also I didn't want to go too cold as well, so I wanted to be flexible. And filming on Apple ProRes 422 HQ and ProRes RAW, it's super easy to shift the white balance during editing, color grading phase, so it's really not that big of a problem. So if you're using Blackmagic Camera app, I highly suggest you guys to use the Log Assistant LUT. That's, you can attach it on the display, but not actually baking into the footage. All you need to do is to press the LUT button on the right bottom and turn on Rec 709 Natural. There is a waveform on the left that you can kind of see the exposure graph as well, but it's, to be honest, this is how I do it. I get roasted by saying this, but I like to see my exposure on the display rather than what the graph or like the exposure compensation is showing to me. Because at the end of the day, the way I like the footage, the way I exposure the footage, it's really just the vibes. Like as long as it looks good on my camera's display, I know it's gonna be good whenever I color grade it. So that works for me. But if you guys don't really care about it, there's just a way to do it. And for the stabilization, whenever I'm filming ProRes 422 HQ, you can use stabilization. So I was on standard, not the cinematic or extreme. The standard just does really well. But anyway, this was my setting for the short documentary that I shot for my friend who works every single day and run his cafe very diligently. Shout out to Shotaro for letting me film at his cafe that he works so hard to run it. And yeah, it has been a year anniversary for him, so shout out to him, and I hope he keeps grinding to make the best cafe in Hiroshima. Anyways, this was the setting that I used to film the short documentary, but quickly I would love to highlight my favorite way to film Apple Log, which use way less storage space compared to other codecs that I show you guys in this video. I totally forgot to mention this, but I guess Apple Pro RAW is 12-bit or 16-bit. I'm not sure which one it is. And the Apple ProRes 422 HQ or non-HQ codecs of Apple ProRes 422 is 10-bit. Even if I shoot everything at 10-bit, it worked totally fine. I feel like ProRAW is not that necessary if you're filming on iPhone, and especially if you're uploading on social media, but I'm just saying ProRAW 12-bit, so freaking cool. 16-bit, so freaking cool. Okay, so to save more than 50% of the storage while filming 10-bit on your iPhone, well, one of the ways is to film an Apple ProRes 422 LT, which is the smallest size for the 422s in the whole Apple ProRes lore. However, if you want to save more storage space and be able to film more casually with 10-bit on iPhone, is to go to codec and choose HEVC and set the bitrate all the way up to max. Once again, I don't want to be too technical in this video, but HEVC is different type of codec that compresses the file more, and you won't get the exact same amount of quality compared to the 422 HQ. However, it really gets the job done. It really gets the job done while saving so much of your storage space. To be honest, if you just posting on social media, or if you want to keep iPhone footage more casual, but you also want to color grade just a bit more, HEVC is an amazing option. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, please hit the like button. And if you guys like the style and the vibes of my channel, please hit the sub button. Sorry for making a technical video. I don't usually make these videos, but I thought it'll be nice to share it to the community. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys have an amazing day. My name is Peace Gates, and you guys already know. Peace out, guys.